Do you speak too fast, but no matter what you do, you cannot seem to slow down? Well, on today's video, I want to talk about why mainstream advice for slowing your speech down doesn't really work unless you've got this extra ingredient I'm going to talk about today. So stay tuned because I know a lot of you that watch my channel really resonate with this topic because it's my most popular video on this channel, all about how do I slow down my speech. So I want to talk about this because I know it really impacts so many people. But before I get going, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I release weekly videos on all things speaking voice related. My whole philosophy is your voice as an outer expression of what's going on within. So if you really want to create lasting transformation with your voice and really reclaim your authentic voice, it's an inside job first and foremost. And if you're interested in learning more about this, please do subscribe and also check out the links below if you're interested in working with me, either in one of my online courses or I've got my signature 8-month private voice coaching program, Speak with Impact, but all the links are below. I was inspired to do today's video because I saw a post on LinkedIn, and I don't know whether it was this week or last week, but it piqued my interest because this is an eminent communications public speaking coach who I'm not going to name, but he did a post about what to do if you speak too fast. And he basically said, if you speak too fast, you need to slow down and slow down your speech, which of course makes sense. And yes, you do need to slow down your speech. But if it was that easy, everyone would do it and it wouldn't be a problem. And I realize that the advice out there is so surface and it really doesn't get to the heart of the matter. So, yes, in a very simple sense, you do need to slow down, and you might slow down by intentionally pausing. You might slow down by breathing more deliberately and allowing yourself to take a deeper breath. You might slow down by just getting comfortable with silence as well, because that's a big one for people. And also something that I've talked about before as well. Often when people speak too fast, it's because they're not articulating fully and clearly. So another way we can slow down our speech is to intentionally articulate. But honestly, if it was that simple, people wouldn't have so much of a problem with it. And I know from my own channel that anytime I do a video on speaking too fast, it gets the most views. So I know this is something that really resonates with many of you. And I think across the board, male, female, doesn't matter where you live in the world, it seems to be something that people struggle with, particularly when they're nervous. And so I do get that. So this popular advice is well-meaning, first of all, and I've got no doubt that this particular coach was very well-meaning in his advice. But for me, it's really missing the underlying driver of why people speak too fast. Now, first of all, before I continue, this is you if you really struggle to slow down your speech. So you're trying to slow down. We can all speak too fast. We can all have moments where we speak too fast, but most of the time we're able to control our pace and we're able to use speaking fast to make sense with what we're saying and to really add value and enhance our words. So what I'm really talking about here is where you really struggle to slow down, or you don't even know that you're speaking really fast and people tell you to slow down, and you're almost a bit shocked or confused or surprised because you didn't realize how fast you were talking. So I just wanted to preface before I say the next thing, because that's who this video is really for. In and of itself, there's nothing wrong with speaking fast, as long as it's a conscious choice that you're speaking fast because you want to speak fast, not because, which is where we come to the unconscious, there's something unconsciously driving your speaking pace. And this is the bit that is mostly missed out from all voice coaching, public speaking coaching, communications coaching. It's all working on the surface skills, slow your speech down, articulate more, breathe more, pause more, which again, I talk about this, so I'm not dissing that. But if you just do that in isolation, you're not going to get the change, and it's not going to be lasting. It's not going to be sustainable, because you're either just going to really struggle, and you might have to make some notes on your script or your presentation to remind you to slow down. That's a big thing. And so you're going to end up being really in your head. because you're going to be so worried about speaking too fast that you're going to be completely disconnected to your words, to your voice, and most importantly, to your audience. You're going to lose your audience, whether you're speaking fast or not, because you're going to be so in your head trying to not speak fast. So we've got to understand what's really going on here. And again, this is for people that just really struggle to slow down, because you speaking fast, whether you're aware of this or not, is emotionally protecting you. It is emotionally serving you. So how might speaking fast emotionally protect you or serve you? Well, for one thing, it gets your speech presentation response out of the way as quickly as possible. So if you're uncomfortable with the limelight, if you're uncomfortable with having attention on you, you're going to speak fast because you don't want too much attention. So let me just speak fast. Let me get this out of the way as quickly as possible, and then we can move on to the next person. You might also speak fast because maybe you feel like an imposter. You don't feel like you have anything of real value to share. So you don't want to fully and powerfully articulate your ideas because on some level you don't really want people to hear them. So if I speak really fast, people are going to have to like really listen to hear what I'm saying. And then by the time they've kind of got what I've said, we've moved on to the next point. Also, you might speak fast because you don't believe people are going to listen to you. So maybe you grew up in a home where no one listened. And so you learned that the only way I can express myself, the only way people might listen is if I speak really fast, and then they might pay attention for a few seconds. But if I really took my time and spent 10 minutes talking, people might switch off, they might walk away, they might get bored. But if I say it in like 30 seconds, then they might listen. But the irony is people don't listen because your energy is really what's driving your voice. And so when you speak fast, whatever the reason is, you're really saying, don't listen to me because I don't have anything important to say, because I don't think you're going to listen to me anyway, because I'm really uncomfortable with the limelight. So this is where the shadow work comes in, because you have to address this. If you truly want to slow down and have a choice as to how you pace your speaking, and whether you're speaking to a group of people, you're presenting, you're pitching, you're in a meeting, or whether you're just networking or you're with friends or family, it doesn't really matter, because there might be certain situations where you feel like you can't slow down. But I would argue that it's always there in the background. It's just some situations it's more obvious. So the shadow work then is really about, what am I emotionally avoiding? So for example, if we took the example of limelight, having attention, what's really scary about that for you? Why do you not want attention? Why don't you really want to take up space? For a lot of people that I work with, when we start to explore this in a deeper way, they are very uncomfortable with taking up space. And so they speak fast for that reason. So yes, I can give you some tools and I can tell you to articulate, but this is unconscious. This is about survival from the ego's perspective, and that is always going to win the day. Always. You're wired for survival at the most basic level. So if you feel it's unsafe to really be heard and take up space, it really doesn't matter what the tools are. Now, where the tools come into their own is when you do this deeper shadow work, you do the integration, you start to actually explore emotionally, why are you uncomfortable, just using this example, with taking up space and being in the limelight. And then you can actually start to integrate the emotions that arise from that. Then you have a choice. Then when you do these tips and tools like articulate more, breathe more, pause more, it's going to be far more powerful, far more effective, and you're going to have far more success. And actually, I would argue you probably won't need to do so much voice work, because we are naturally very expressive when we get out of our own way. You look at children. We were all children once. Toddlers, they're very expressive, unless they've had a horrific upbringing. But in most cases, toddlers are very expressive. So we were all a toddler once upon a time. It gets beaten out of most of us to be that expressive. We're taught it's wrong, people won't like you, you're too noisy, you're too much, blah, blah, blah. So it gets beaten out of us. But my point is, our true nature, our true essence is expressive, is connected to this authentic voice. And this authentic voice wants to actually express itself, it wants to be heard. The authentic voice also wants to listen too, I should say. It's not just about being heard, but it's both. It's a balance of listening and sharing and expressing. So, what I invite you to do, if this is something that resonates with you, which I know, as I say on my channel, this resonates with lots of people, start to journal or meditate on what is the payoff emotionally for me speaking fast. This isn't about blaming yourself. This isn't about beating yourself up. This is purely from an awareness, curiosity perspective, because it's only when you can begin to integrate the emotions around that that you are truly free. And then when you take the advice of this coach I saw last week, you are very powerful because now there's no internal resistance. There's nothing kind of stopping you from really allowing your voice out, allowing yourself to be heard. And then speaking fast, you might speak fast because it might add drama to what you're saying or enhance your words, but it's coming from a very conscious place versus unconsciously being driven because it's a pattern, because it's programming, because ultimately it's about survival and emotional safety. So I want to leave you with that. Now, if you want some help with this, because shadow work is incredibly difficult to do by yourself, although I do have an online course that talks about shadow work, so Free Your Mind, Free Your Voice will begin to kind of open you up to what your voice is really revealing, what you're pushing away, what you're avoiding. So you can start to go through this. But as I said, it is such powerful work. Your voice is revealing so much. And actually, what you'll find is when you do this shadow work around your voice, it has a domino effect on every aspect of your life. So your voice is really then becomes this vehicle for personal transformation. It's so much more than your voice. This is life-changing work. So if you're interested, you can book a 30-minute session with me, a free consult if you're interested in private coaching. It's really for those people that are ready to truly invest their time, their finances, their energy, and make the ultimate commitment in themselves. But if not, as I say, I have got some cheaper options below, online courses. You can also book a one-off online session, private session, if you just want to have a little exploration of what's going on. Very, very happy to help you out if you just want to do a one-off session. So thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next week.